franchise history to have back-to-back games with 41 points.
If I want to make my spot among the greats, I got to try to not miss any occasion I have to put my name up there.
To be able to live up to it and actually be more than you ever thought he could be this early in his career, it's really scary to think ultimately what his ceiling could be. He's so young. He's already added so much, but there's still a lot more there for him to grab.
Earlier in the week, we talked about him putting up 41, or he put up 41 and 18, last night in a win over the Golden State Warriors. And Wemby and the Spurs, you guys, are on an absolute heater. They are playing so well right now. They have won 10 straight they've won 10 straight overall and 15 consecutive games in which Victor Wembanyama has appeared. And during that streak, these are the numbers that Wemby is putting up. 27.9 points and 12.3 rebounds. We know what an incredible defensive force is. The only problem, guys, is that SGA is also keeping pace. SGA is also putting up incredible numbers, the defending MVP down the stretch. Oklahoma City's won 15 of its past 16 games, and SGA eclipsed 40 points 3 times in the past 2 weeks. But, Freddie, let's start with you. As the NBA season is winding down, how impressed are you with what Victor Wembanyama is doing, and do you think that he's the MVP?
It's getting to the point that we're running out of words and adjectives to describe what he's been able to do at both ends of the floor. But the most important thing to me that Victor Wembanyama has been able to do, he's embraced the moment of being that guy, or being one of the guys, and not just on his basketball team, but in the NBA. He knows each and every team and each and every player is coming after him each and every night. And I go back to when they played against the Detroit Pistons. HD and I were doing the show the day after that, and I said, those bad boys thought they were going to punk Mr. Wembanyama. They thought they were going to get the best of him. There was going to be a wee. And he wee-weed all over them. What he's able to do by getting back up time and time again, saying, I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not that one. I thought that was a meat cleaver moment, that you can talk about San Antonio before that moment and San Antonio after that moment, because I thought everybody, Michelle and HD, everybody in that organization said, oh, he is ready for this. He wants this. Bring the steam. He's going to steam back at you. I thought the minute that he was able to get back up time and time again and lead them to victory against a more physical team, that's when things really shifted about the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama being that legit in terms of being an MVP and definitely being a championship team.
Freddie, you know what's big for me is the mentality that he steps out on the court with every single night. And it doesn't matter if they're playing against the Chicago Bulls or the Golden State Warriors or the Oklahoma City Thunder. The mindset is the exact same. And we've seen that back-to-back 40-point games, 40-plus and 15-plus rebounds to be exact. He is going to set the tone every single time he's on the floor. We've seen it within the All-Star game. We were all wondering headed into the All-Star game this year, what was it going to be like? Are the players going to take it serious? Well, guess what? Victor Wembanyama set the tone. And we've seen a better All-Star game than what we've seen in the past over the last 5 or 6 years. But when you have a guy, Freddie, that can play with his back to the basket on the offensive end, face up, shoot the three, dribble, and have guard skills, and I like how last night he just didn't force the jump shot. He knew that the Golden State Warriors were lacking bigs. Right? So what did he do? He scored a lot of his points in the paint. He altered shots on the defensive end. We heard him say recently about, the MVP award and how, defense is 50% of the game. Draymond Green had something to say about it as well. Mm-hmm. Whenever you have a guy that can anchor your team, and a lot of people are going to look at them and say, man, they're so young. But let's also not gloss over the fact that they do have a Harrison Barnes who has playoff experience. They have a Luke Cornett who won an NBA championship with the Boston Celtics. De'Aaron Fox, even though it was a very short stint in the playoffs, he has that playoff experience as well. Not deep, but he has it. You can't overlook that. And I think this is a group who is very, very deep. Look at their bench. You got Harrison Barnes coming off the bench. You have Keldon Johnson coming off the bench. Dylan Harper coming off the bench. All these guys playing a pivotal role but have that belief in themselves. But Victor Wembanyama anchors the charge in San Antonio. And because he's that wild card and something we've never seen before with our eyes, I don't look at them being a young team entering the playoffs because of Victor Wembanyama and his mindset every single time he steps out on the floor.
And Smalls and HD, they had 7 guys that scored in double figures last night. 4 starters and 3 guys off the bench. Although I want to give Pat Spencer a condemnation. Dude, you're not 7'6". What made you think that you could possess any kind of ability to say, I'm going to post up Victor Wembanyama, I'm going to get into the lane, and I'm going to make this floater over him? That's DOI to the 25th power. Definition of insanity. You got to know exactly who you is and who you ain't.
KYP, right, Freddie?
Absolutely. No, in this
Know
case,
your personnel.
Or in this
That's
case
right,
with Pat
KYP.
Spencer, know your Pat. And know your Pat didn't know what that Pat was. He thought he was playing in the backyard against his brother Cam when he used to dominate in front of their mom and dad. And then he looked up and then the whole arena disappeared. Word of advice, if you're in the lane and Victor Wembanyama's guarding you, pass the ball to somebody else and set a screen. That is not going to end well. Ask Pat Spencer about that from Golden State last night.
Well, Harry talked about Wemby's mentality. We know a couple weeks ago in his post-game presser, he made the case for why he should be the MVP. He really emphasized his defense and everything he does to impact the game and provide value to his team. He talked about this again last night about why he wants to win the MVP and why it matters so much to him.
How important is that to you eventually, whether it's now or somewhere down the road, to be recognized as the best player in this league?
Oh, yeah, I do care deeply about it. And I think that all the greats, that are in the Hall of Fame or that are in our mind the best of all time, they have fought and grabbed everything they could grab early on in their career, If I want to make my spot among the greats, I got to try to not miss any occasion I have to put my name up there.
You guys, Wemby is so refreshing. He's essentially an Altoid. There's just nothing about this guy that I don't find fresh and wonderful. Truly, everything from him living up to the hype that surrounded him when he came in this league, because, a lot of players we hear about that, especially immediately upon their arrival, don't live up to the billing.
How do you watch the Warriors get pushed around by the Spurs and still come away thinking, hold on, this game may have screamed one truth louder than anything else? Steph Curry still changes absolutely everything. Because that's exactly how this one hit me. San Antonio beat a shorthanded Golden State team 227-113 behind another monster Victor Wembanyama night. And yes, Dub Nation felt every bit of that pain. Wemby went for 41 and 18 in just 29 minutes. The Spurs stretched their winning streak to 10, and Golden State never really had the size or stability to control the interior. Reuters said the Warriors were without Curry, Kristaps Porzingis, and several other rotation pieces. And that context matters because this didn't feel like a full-strength measuring stick as much as it felt like a spotlight on everything the roster is missing right now. And let's be real, man, one part of this loss was brutal to watch. The Spurs knew Golden State had no real big man answer, and they attacked that weakness over and over. That's exactly what the TV segment was getting at when they said Wemby didn't need to force jumpers because the Warriors were lacking bigs, so he punished them in the paint and erased shots on the other end. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that makes a fan throw his hands up. When a 7'4" alien is reading your roster like a menu, that's a problem. But weirdly enough, that also points straight to the biggest story. Not just that the Warriors need help inside, not just that they need healthier bodies, they need their gravitational center back. They need the guy who changes every matchup before the ball is even tipped. Because the biggest Warriors news right now is still not this loss, it's Steph. The Chronicle reported that Curry rejoined practice, went through 5-on-5 scrimmage work, and is targeting Sunday against Houston, with the team monitoring how the knee responds. Reuters also noted he's missed 26 straight games with patellofemoral pain syndrome and bone bruising in his right knee. So while the Spurs game exposed Golden State's thin margin for error, it also reminded everybody why this comeback matters so much. Without Steph, the offense has to work too hard. The spacing gets tighter, the reads get slower, the fear factor disappears. With Steph, the entire ecosystem changes. Podziemski gets easier decisions. Draymond gets his favorite two-man rhythm back. Porzingis, once back, gets cleaner looks and more room to punish. That's why one rehab update can feel bigger than one loss. And that is where I actually come out encouraged, even after getting smacked by a red-hot Spurs team. The Warriors are still in 10th, still aimed at the play-in, and the organization is clearly prioritizing health over squeezing blood from the final regular season games. The Chronicle said Golden State is already casting an eye toward likely play-in opponents and knows this season now hinges on getting healthy at the right moment. That's the key. This loss didn't prove the Warriors are finished, it proved they are incomplete. There's a huge difference between those two things. One means there's no hope. The other means there is still a version of this team we haven't seen yet. And that unseen version includes Steph Curry, and that's why the door is still cracked open. So my takeaway is simple. Yes, the Spurs exposed the Warriors' lack of size and balance. Yes, Wemby was ridiculous. Yes, Pat Spencer trying to challenge him at the rim became meme material. But the bigger truth is that this game showed exactly why Steph's return is the heartbeat of everything Golden State still hopes to do. If he gets back Sunday, the mood changes, the belief changes, the danger level changes. Tell me what you think, Dub Nation. Did this loss make you more worried about the roster or more convinced that Steph's return is the only thing that matters now? Drop your take in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in because these next few days could decide the whole energy of the Warriors season.